It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video for The Walking Dead. In this video we're going to be taking a look at some huge Walking Dead universe news that has to do with a connection or a potential connection between the Commonwealth and the Civic Republic, specifically the CRM, the Civic Republic Military. If you don't know what we're talking about, on the latest episode of Walking Dead, Scott Gimple was asked if CRM knows about the Commonwealth, and he may have unintentionally spoiled the answer to that question. Stay tuned, we'll be right back to play the clip, and I'm gonna break it down and talk about what this means for the Walking Dead universe. Alright, as always, before we jump into this, if you are not a subscriber and enjoy the content by the end, consider subscribing to join our community, share and smash the like button, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. So this is actually huge news that many Walking Dead fans have been talking about in the last few days. Is the Commonwealth connected to the CRM? Do they know of each other? And are they setting up a war between these two massive groups at some point in the Walking Dead movies? The answer to that question may have been unintentionally spoiled by Scott Gimple on Talking Dead. I'll actually play the clip where Chris Hardwick asks the question and Scott Gimple's response, and when we return, I'll break it down.
This is for Scott M. Gimple from Aaron E. Will on Twitter. Does the CRM know about the Commonwealth?
We will see on this season of The Walking Dead the answer to that question. But I don't want to spoil it, you know what I mean? But we'll find out, and I might have just spoiled it just by answering it that way.
All right, so as you saw, Scott Gimple pretty much said that we will see whether the CRM knows about Commonwealth. Unintentionally, Gimple pretty much confirmed that the CRM do in fact know about Commonwealth. Now, what makes things extremely interesting is that everything could come together in a very organic way from this point forward because of this validation. Let's step back a little bit. If they're following the comic storyline, which it definitely looks like they're doing, then there's potential for them to insert the CRM into the story in a very organic manner. What do I mean by that? In the comic book, when we're introduced to the leader of Commonwealth, Pamela Milton, who on the TV version is on the bottom left, we actually learn that she acts as a corrupt politician, or in better words, if we were in a normal society, she would definitely be one of those corrupt politicians. And as part of that, in the comics, we saw that she was making backdoor deals with other communities, and she was kind of working with them for her own benefit rather than for the benefit of her community. This is where the CRM could come in. What we could potentially see is the revelation that Pamela Milton is making backdoor deals with the CRM. It's sort of like what the CRM already did with the Omaha colony. We do know that when things were good between them, they had some sort of a deal. So we could see that maybe to a much larger scope when it comes to the connection or relationship between the CRM and the Commonwealth communities. Now here is where things could get even more interesting, because if they're gonna follow the comic storyline, which it definitely looks like they're doing, then at some point after Pamela Milton is brought down as the leader of Commonwealth, the person that's gonna take over is Maggie. Now if we think about it, things could definitely align in a way where Maggie, being the leader now, learns about the way things used to be and learns about the CRM. And possibly after doing some research and investigating on her own, possibly with Mercer's help, she's able to figure out who the CRM are. And she may even learn about someone at the CRM with a high ranking position called Rick. And her curiosity may kick in to a point where she might put two and two together and find out that this could be the same Rick. And this is where the biggest plot hole of the Walking Dead universe could come into play, because we do know that Gabe saw the CRM helicopter. He learned that Jadis was making deals with the CRM, so maybe this is where Gabe could come into play and tell them, specifically Maggie, about what he witnessed back when Rick disappeared. And they may be able to kind of put the pieces together and figure out that Rick could possibly be at the CRM. And that could be kind of a way to end the series, but at the same time leave it open for them to pick it up in the movies and build up to some sort of a war between the CRM and Commonwealth, but in a way where initially maybe they're trying to make a deal with them, but the CRM obviously doesn't agree, which leads them to go to war with each other. And that obviously creates tension because they have Rick on the other side and the CRM doesn't really care about that, but Rick does. So maybe that is something that makes Rick want to leave and join with the Commonwealth militia or something along those lines. The other thing I do want to mention when it comes to Maggie is there was something that was in the trailer for the second part of the season 11 of The Walking Dead. Maggie looking at Commonwealth soldiers walking into Alexandria could be a sign about Maggie's potential future role at the Commonwealth, or it could be a tease at that, if you know what I mean. This definitely could be the start of something much, much bigger, and like I said, a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are slowly coming together at this point. It's pretty obvious that they're building up to some sort of a war between Commonwealth and CRM, and they're putting Rick in the middle of this and making him have to choose which side to go with, his family or stay with the group that he's been with probably for most of his post-apocalyptic life at this point. Now, one final thing I do want to say is if they do go to war, which side is going to come on top? Obviously, CRM has more people, 200,000 people, but we know that not all of them are soldiers. We know that maybe a portion of them are actually soldiers, but they are spread out in more areas of the United States and they have more outposts, they have more research facilities, they're more technologically advanced, they're doing scientific experiments and things like that. On the other side, Commonwealth has only 50,000 people, a small portion of that being their military, but they're not as technologically advanced as the CRM, but they do have a good chunk of soldiers, and adding in the survivors will kind of add in a bit more to that fight. But just comparing these two groups, obviously CRM, I think, is a lot more advanced and a lot more capable of beating this war. And this is obviously where Rick could come into play to change things. Maybe he could do what Daryl was doing with the Reapers. He could work from the inside to turn people against the CRM and shift things to the advantage of Commonwealth and the survivors. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am definitely interested to know everyone's thoughts and opinions. Do you think this confirmation is a big reveal and it's definitely a sign that not only are they gonna have the story go along the lines of what I talked about, but also they're building up towards that massive war that I talked about, and they're making Rick be in the middle of this war, having to choose between the sides where he might actually work on the inside to help the survivors. Share your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join our community, share and smash the like button, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.